there's very little understanding of what this is really about. It's quite complex. It's very, and if we look at our history particularly, it's actually even more worrying. Because I think 1994, in our quest to make everybody happy, I must say, controversial as it may be, we sort of like silenced ourselves a bit. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission didn't go far enough to sort of like say, what are we inheriting? And I think as I work through or work with people, and I look at structural violence, I work with some of the military veterans who've been exposed to one of the most violent acts and brutal activities when they're in jail. Women who have been like electrocuted, a lot of things, and some people are sitting with psychosis.
A startling reality. According to some experts, the country has not yet healed from the brutal and draconian system of the past, and as a result, the trauma manifests in the high levels of gender-based violence and femicide. Craig Wilkinson, however, believes that South Africa does not have to be enslaved by its past, advocating for the teaching and training of the boy child.
You know, no boy is born an abuser. Let's be honest, no boy comes out of his mother's womb DNA wired to abuse or to be a racist or to be anything like that. These things are learned. Something happens on the journey from boy to man. Something goes wrong on the journey from boy to man. The instinct of a healthy man is to protect, never ever to abuse, never ever. I mean, it's just not in the DNA of man. So we've got to say, what goes wrong on the journey from baby to boy and boy to man? And for me, that's what we've been focusing on at Father and Nation. And we've had the privilege of working in all 9 provinces. We've got a beautiful team of men and women on the ground working with men, because a healthy whole man leads to a healthy whole society.
Whilst Josina Marshall has called for government and society alike to account, Marshall herself, a survivor of gender-based violence, says concerted efforts by government, business and civil society are lacking, as evidenced by delays in implementing the April 2019 National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide.
We need to seriously look at the issue of accountability. If we do not become accountable, if we do not force accountability, we will be sitting in this room in 30 years' time with the same numbers, because the young people that are raised today, that are seeing the mess in which we are, and this attitude of being blasé and saying, well, we are seeing, but maybe we are not seeing, these young people will be the women and the men that will lead this country, that will lead this continent, and will lead the world.
Government, for its part, has called for the fight against gender-based violence to be focused at the local community level.
We need to go down towards, because we talk about localization, but we really need to work at ward level. That's what the cabinet has directed us to do. So that issues that you've raised, working with survivors and victims on prevention, because that's where we believe we need to be invested in, primary prevention. Because what you're talking about is it's a level of secondary victimization, but we need to actually re-socialize society in terms of the way, you know, all those things that you've mentioned. But you can only do it if we are closer to communities, if we work with communities and ensure that they take responsibility.
The hope is that the outcomes and solutions that will be deliberated upon at this conference will accelerate progress towards a non-sexist country as envisaged in the Constitution. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.